Make a Path presents Let's Talk. Welcome to Make a Path Presents. My name is Ronnie Hayes, and today, let's talk Better Call Saul, Season 1, Episode 2, Mijo. Alright guys, I know that yesterday I said that Episode 1 was going to be the wind-up, Episode 2 was going to be the punch, and that was probably a bad analogy. A more accurate one I'm starting to see is Episode 1 was setting up the characters, the atmosphere, and a little bit of backstory. Now Episode 2 is like putting the character and story in a slingshot and preparing to fire it. Episode 3 is most likely going to be firing that slingshot, and now we're going to follow from 3 on. We're going to follow the story and the characters on the way, now that they've been fired off into that direction. Now Episode 2 actually felt a lot more like it was in a Breaking Bad universe than Episode 1 did. I mean, Episode 1, it had that feel, but it wasn't until Tuco and Jimmy, Saul, they had that back and forth in the desert. That really screamed the Breaking Bad universe. And I know some people want Better Call Saul to be its own thing, but I highly encourage it to maintain that authentic, genuine Breaking Bad feel to it, because keep in mind, even though it's its own piece of work, it's in that universe, and I think that playing on that is one of its biggest strong suits, especially a fan following the show from Breaking Bad to Better Call Saul. And the back and forth with Tuco and Jimmy in the desert, you know what, I'm just gonna call him Saul from here on out. You know, his name is Jimmy, you know, his real name. We know him as Saul. I'm just gonna call him Saul from here on out. But the back and forth between Tuco and Saul was absolutely magnetic, and this is what I mean about replacement characters in the last review, because we know Jimmy's not going to die. Damn it. We know Saul's not going to die, but those kids are going to die. In Saul's life, he can't handle that on his conscience. You see it clearly. He essentially risks his life to say, can you just let them go? Can you hurt them somehow? He talks his way into it. If you watch it, it's like, as a lawyer, he gives his best defense. And he's not even in a courtroom. He's in Tuco's courtroom, you know, out there in the desert. And the way he negotiates this deal with Tuco, it shows you that with this, and later on with the scene where we're breaking the breadsticks, it humanizes him. And it shows you he has a conscience. He's not just a sleazy lawyer. And on top of that, he can handle his composure in a very explosive situation. He handled his composure very well, but then later on, as reality set in, probably about how much shit he got into and how close he was, and the kids getting their legs broken, all those emotions at once resting on his conscience, of course he vomited. You know, he couldn't handle it. And even with that 20-minute dialogue in the desert between Tuco and Saul, I don't even know how long it was, but even with that back and forth, I tell you what, it was only a couple seconds, but one of the best parts was when one of Tuco's men, I completely forget his name, he says something, and it's the guy that, if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, it's a spoiler, mute it for 10 seconds. But it's the guy in Breaking Bad where he beats to death and kills his own man. But in this one, he comes up to him and he's like, stop doing that, you know? And it's like showing the backstory of how Tuco didn't just snap one day and do it. He did snap, but it was building up. And that subtle little detail is something that I loved. If they were going to have that scene that they put in Better Call Saul, that was that little bit of face-to-face with Tuco and his little henchman. That was, I think, a necessity. And that was great that they didn't overlook even the smallest of detail. And it's great to give Breaking Bad fans, because come on, a lot of us followed this show over from Breaking Bad. It's a friggin' spin-off. So of course you want to reward the followers that went from Breaking Bad to Better Call Saul, and I think that was the best way to reward us as fans, and I think they're going to continue to reward us with scenes like that coming up. And I do have to say that there is just something about the characters, the dialogue, the pacing especially, and this is a creative team, I should say, that introduced me for the first time to loving pacing. A lot of times, pacing is something that I overlook a lot, as ridiculous as that sounds, because pacing is very important. Breaking Bad was the first show that had me fall in love with slow pacing that built up to something explosive. And it doesn't even have to be like a shootout at the OK Corral for that to be explosive. It could be something as little as a character sitting in a chair and getting some kind of revelation, and you know, oh man, that's going to have some major effects down the line. It's that slow burn, I guess is the way to put it. And we're starting to see some of this taking shape. I just can't see any Breaking Bad fans not enjoying the program so far. And from the looks of things, how they took Tuco, was a Breaking Bad character, brought him in here from what it looks like is only going to be a little tiny part, and we're going to get introduced to his boy Nacho, and we know Nacho wasn't in Breaking Bad, so we know shit is going to go wrong there. So we kind of have this like, okay, we could piece together a timeline, but there's a slow burn now, because Nacho comes in, he's like, you know what, I was thinking about what you were talking about, and then I think we're going to do something along the lines of working together. And even though Saul Goodman is not going for it, we know he's going to get forced into something, or he's going to have his back against the wall to do it. And from here on out, I have a really strong feeling it's going to take hold of the next few episodes. I'm not really sure how long this Nacho character is supposed to be around. Maybe he sticks around for a couple seasons. Maybe he's only in the first season. But depending on how long he sticks around, we might also see Tuco once or twice coming up. And I'm also looking for the big reveal why Mike is working at that toll booth. Because come on, we know his character from the other show. So we know he's not working there just to work there. He is working some kind of angle. And I don't see him, whacking somebody at a toll booth. So it's got to be something. And I'm very, very curious and interested to see how that plays out. And I think that is going to be something big, not something small. At least I'm hoping so. So guys, what did you think of episode 2? I'm starting to see a build up from here, and I think the ball's moving. Things are going to get more exciting. We all know, from being Breaking Bad and Vince Gilligan fans, we know there's a slow burn with this type of show. So what did you think of it? How did you feel about this? Let me know your opinions down below. Because I'm done talking. It's your turn.
Subscribe now.